Hello, everyone. I'm Mr. Kissinger at the Citizenship Academy in Syracuse, New York. This is Grade 5, Module 2, Lesson 28, and our objective today is to solve division word problems involving multi-digit division with group size unknown and the number of groups unknown. So we're going to need to do some division problems without knowing the group size. We're going to need to figure out first what the size of each group, how many in each group, and we need to figure out how many groups we're going to have. So starting here on number 1, let's read our question. It says, Ava is saving for a new computer that costs $1,218. She has already saved half of the money. Ava earns $14 per hour. How many hours must Ava work in order to save the rest of the money? And for these word problems, I'm going to use our RDW strategy, read, draw, write. So I'm going to write an R, a D, and a W on the left side of my paper here. And so we read the question. The first thing I want to do is I'm going to look for the important parts of this word problem. So the first thing I want to do is I want to look for all of the numbers. So I'm going to look at 1,218. I'm going to circle half. That's not in numerical form, but that's going to be important for us. And I'm going to circle $14. Next, I want to look for words that are going to tell me what operations I need to use. So it says Ava is saving for a new computer that costs $1,218. Again, that word half is going to be important. She already saved half of the money. She earns $14 per hour. How many hours must Ava work in order to save the rest of the money? So now that we've read the problem twice, I'm going to cross out R, and then we're going to start to draw. So I always like to use a tape diagram for this type of problem. She's saving for that new computer that costs $1,218. I'm going to draw a tape diagram here. And I know that the whole thing is going to be 1,218. So I'm going to write that here on the top. And I'm going to make sure I put my label in there too so we remember we're talking about dollars. And it says she's already saved half of the money. So I'm going to split this in half. And we have this half. She's already saved, so I'm going to shade that in. And we need to figure out how much this half is. So that's going to be my first drawing. So let's solve for that first. If I want to find out what half of 1,218 is, I need to divide by 2. So I'm going to divide 1,218 by 2. 2 does not go into 1, but it will go into 12. It'll go into 12 6 times. 6 times 2 is 12. I subtract, I get 0. I bring down a 1. It cannot go into 2, can't go into 1, so I need to bring up a 0 here. Then I bring down the next number, I bring down an 8. 2 goes into 18 9 times. 9 times 2 is 18. Subtract 18, and I get 0. So we know that 609 is half of 1,218. So in here, I'm going to erase my question mark, and I'm going to write $609. So now let's look at what the rest of the question is asking. It says Ava earns $14 per hour. How many hours must Ava work in order to save the rest of the money? So I'm going to draw a second tape diagram down here just to make it a little bit easier to see. And I know this whole thing now, this is just this side here expanded out. So if we looked at like this part right here under a magnifying glass, we would see this this whole tape diagram here. So this whole thing is going to be 609 now. If she works for $14 per hour, how many hours will she have to work to save the rest of the money? So in order to save $609, we'll have 14. That's 1 hour. 14. That's 2 hours. That. How many 14s do we need to get this 609? So we're going to go for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and we're going to do 14 times what equals 609. And since we're trying to find out times what, we need the inverse of multiplication, which is division. We're going to divide 609 by $14, and we'll find out how many hours need to be worked. So we'll start with 609 divided by, remember the divisor always goes outside of this box. So it's 609 divided by, outside of the box, 14. 14 can't go into 6, but it can go into 60 tens. So we have 14 times what? How many times is 14 going to go into 60? Well, 14 is really close to 15. I know I can do 15, 30, 45, 60 if I skip count by 15s. 15 could go in 4 times, so I know 14 should be able to go in 4 times. So I'll start with a 4 there, and let's check our answer, make sure. If we do 4 times 14, 4 times 4 is 16, and then 4 plus 1 is 5. We get 56. That will work. We subtract 56 from 60, and we get 4. We have to bring down our 9. And now we have 49. 14 will go into 49. How many times? Well, 14, again, it's easier for me to skip count by 15, so I'll use 15s to get an idea of what I want to multiply by. I have 15, 30, 45, 60. Okay, 60 is too much. So let's try 40. 45 would be 15 times 3. Let's see what 14 times 3 is. 14 times 3 is 12. 4 times 3 is 12. Carry our 1. 3 times 1 is 3, plus 1 is 4. 42. So this goes in 3 times. We get 42. When we subtract, we get 7. And then we have to add another place value here. So we'll do 609 0/10. Put our decimal point right there. And then bring our 0 down. And we'll see how many times 14 goes into 70. So we already know that 14 times 4 is 56. So it's going to be larger than that. Let's try 14 times 5. 4 times 5 is 20. 1 times 5 is 5, plus 2 is 7. And look at that, we have 70. So we're going to do 5 there. We subtract 70, and we get 0. So we have 43.5 or 43 and a half hours. We did all of our drawing that we need to do. Now we need to do our W, which is write our answer in written form. So Ava must work 43.5 or 43 and a half hours in order to save the rest of the money. I have to put my answer in a box here. All right. So we did all three of our steps. And what we can do if we want to check our answer is we can check using multiplication. So if I wanted to now turn around and go 14 times 43 and a half, 43 and a half times 14. 5 times 4. Actually, I'm going to give myself a little bit more room over here. Let's do it up here. 43 and a half times 14. I have 5 times 4 is 20. Here are my 2. 3 times 4 is 12. Plus 2 is 14. 4 times 4 is 16. Plus 1 is 17. I need a 0 for a placeholder. 5 times 1 is 1. 3 times 1 is 3. 4 times 1 is 4. And then I need to add this together. I get 0. 4 plus 5 is 9. 7 plus 3 is 10. 0, carry the 1. 4 plus 1 plus 1 is 6. And then since I have one digit here past the decimal point, I know I need to put one digit. I need to go one digit back and put my decimal point right there. And I get 609, which matches my 609 here. So we can always check our division with multiplication. All right, so that's all we're going to do for today. Thank you guys so much for tuning in, and we look forward to seeing you next time.